Let's see what we got today. All right, refresh that. All right, a shot of water, and we're going to continue on with this. Got a little extra time today. Not much. All right, going to get started here. I'm short on time. All right, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. Had a decent weekend. Watched a little NBA basketball. I don't know why. It's just that I guess nothing else is on. Trying to get spun up on college basketball, which is normally what I do. But at the NBA, I never pay much attention to that until after the All-Star game. Now that the All-Star game is over, races are heating up, and you're going to have, it's pretty much a void for football. And like I tell you guys before, basketball is just something to do until football comes back around. And a lot of the fans, I believe, are starting to feel the same way about this professional basketball thing. Draymond Green came out and said that it's pretty much boring. Because whoever can run fastest up and down the court and shoot the most threes, that's who the teams are going to win. Well, I mean, if that's the way that you can win and you got the fastest team and you can shoot threes, I don't have a problem with strategy. But if everybody's doing it and you're not really playing basketball per se, it's just jack up a shot, no rhyme or reason to it. You just throwing them up. That gets old after a while, and it's just not very exciting. So when he says it's boring, it kind of matches up to what a lot of people think about the NBA. But the fact that he said it was boring, this is his occupation. He came out and pointed the finger at his occupation, basically saying it's not a good product. And he's calling basically for reform. And because of that, he's being roasted in the media about what's taking place. But in response to that, the NBA did realize, how you doing, M314? In response to what he said, you can see it coming. After last year's All-Star game, when both teams scored almost 200 points, it's kind of hard to watch, man. If you grew up watching basketball a certain way, and to see the way that they play now is just hard to watch. So realizing that, they came up with a way to try to get fan interest. So they come up with these 4 different teams. They took the TNT analysts, Kenny Smith, Shaq, Candace Parker, and Charles Barkley, and they gave them teams. And they played a game where the first team got to 41. So the 4 teams matched up against each other, and then the 2 winning teams played for the championship. And it was okay, but I'm not overly blown away by that particular format. And just like what they try to do with the NFL All-Star game, that's not going to last very long. So I'm expecting to see the All-Star game return back to a traditional form next year. But I think they need to tweak the way that they play the game. I mean, just to have a team shoot up threes all the time, man, there's no excitement in that. And Draymond Green is not the only one that's spoken out recently. Not long ago, Michael Jordan pretty much said the same thing. The advent of the three-point line has changed the way that people play the game of basketball, and right now it's not for the better. And one time people thought that basketball's popularity will overtake football, certainly baseball, but now I think basketball is a solid number 3 behind baseball. Football right now is still number 1, but if they keep making these changes to the rules about contact, then they're going to lose their place in the top spot. And lo and behold, baseball just might end up being the top sport again. But the question today is, are professional athletes, are they just vulnerable? Are they open for attack? Or do they really deserve the allegations that they're getting? I wasn't aware of this, but I just found out a couple of days ago that Justin Tucker is the latest NFL player to be accused of sexual assault, harassment, or whatever they're accusing him of. And it's very similar to the charges that Deshaun Watson has. Now, if I'm an athlete and I know that I might have a proclivity of trying to mess with these girls because I'm this big time pro athlete, I'm certainly not going to do it in a way that somebody else did it and got caught. This is the same thing that Deshaun Watson is being accused of. So why would you put yourself in that situation? Which begs the poll question: are these guys really that dumb, or do they think they're really that much better than everybody? They can pretty much do what they want to do. Now, I'm thinking it can't be that stupid. If you're going to have a spa and all of that, and you got these young ladies touching on you or whatever the situation is, why not have people there to watch? Why not have these sessions recorded? Why not do all the things that you can to protect yourself instead of leaving yourself vulnerable like he did? I'm not saying that what these ladies are saying is not true. I'm not saying any of that. But I am saying he has to protect himself in all kinds of ways. And evidently he did not do it. Okay, Real Deal Sports Fisher say good morning. And he says it's wild that they can just pay the way out of these scandals. Well, read the information. You can find out, Andres Garcia, what I'm talking about. I don't know if, like I said, I'm not saying he's guilty or not, but I'm saying he put himself into a position to make himself look guilty. But if you're going to violate somebody, why violate it in the same way that somebody else supposedly had done it and got into all kind of trouble over it? This is the exact carbon copy of what Deshaun Watson was in trouble for. Now, what's to come of it? If they don't have any concrete proof, it's going to be just like Deshaun Watson. He might pay a fine. He might be suspended for a while, but ultimately he's going to be able to play professional sports. But I'm just saying, you would think with the money that these guys make, they can hire security firms or something to make sure they do not get caught into these situations. But they seem to get caught in these situations all the time, and it's puzzling to me. So somebody tell me, what is your viewpoint on that? Because I just don't get it. So let's look at the poll question. I got a few responses so far. A lot of them say they really are that dumb. I agree that they are dumb to a certain extent, and they're dumb about a lot of things. I think the biggest vulnerability that they have is women. They like women, and the women like them. But you have to know that the ulterior motives of a lot of them, they're trying to come up. They're trying to get into position where they are taken care of. And what they do, they keep score. You do something or get out of line or do something that puts you in a position that you can be accused of something, and you got an unscrupulous person out there, then you got a problem. It happens all the time. And lo and behold, don't get one of them pregnant, because now you got a real problem. But the real question is, what can you do? I mean, you got to be involved with somebody. But I think the ones that are obvious, that hang around the arenas all the time, and if you're going to get involved with them, I would think that you would do your due diligence. But a lot of them, they don't do that. They just take a shot. They don't worry about it because they think the world operates on their liking, and a lot of times it backfires against them. So I really don't know how you could protect yourself with a mindset like that. I mean, you can't stop living just because you're a professional athlete or making a lot of money. So the question is, well, what can they do? I mean, how can you prevent yourself from being accused of something unsavory? And I think there's not a whole lot you can do. You're going to have to deal with people unless you're living under a rock somewhere. A lot of athletes have gone through and not being accused of anything, get married and you never hear anything about it. And that's probably the way it should be. But if you're young and like to party and you got a pocket full of money, then anything goes. And a lot of times they ended up running off the track. But Tucker, I would have thought, I'm not sure if he's married or not, but I would have thought that after the allegations against Deshaun Watson, that anybody that's going to get a massage or anything, they're going to have somebody there watching, or they got the cameras rolling to make sure they don't get falsely accused of anything. And if you are that type, it would be a preventative measure to keep you from wanting to do something. Either way, it would keep you out of a swing. But evidently, he didn't have any cameras around, and now he's got an issue. I'm right. Andres Garcia keep asking me, what am I talking about? I'm just talking. I'm talking about the state of professional sports. I'm talking about how these guys always end up in a jam, and I'm trying to figure out why they keep getting into a jam when they know that they're targets and they don't have people around them all the time to prevent such things from happening. And with the money that they spend on all kind of things, I think it's a wise investment to hire somebody to follow them around. And if you slick like me, I hire somebody to follow those guys around. So that way, if they're doing something underhanded, I got something on them. So there's ways that you can do it. With the money that they make, they can afford to do that. And I just question why don't they do certain things. So that's just my take on that. But going back to basketball, like I say, it was hard to watch those NBA All Star games. I never really watch All Star games anyway, but I try to be a good sport and watch those things. And it don't take long before, man, I just can't take this. Now, even though they had the 14 format this year, it was more of the same thing. It's just the groups that they had on the floor didn't last very long. They weren't playing any defense, and it was more of the same thing. It's just that it was broken up, and it made it more watchable, I should say. But it's basically the same thing. And you knew that Steph Curry, being that the All-Star game was in San Francisco, where the Warriors play, he was going to get the MVP. So that didn't disappoint. And Shaq team, he had a pretty good team, good three-point shooters, and it worked out for him. But you can just tell those guys are just there, having a good time, in the environment. But who really cares if you win the All-Star game or not? Even though they had money on the line, the team that won, I think it won like $125,000 per man extra. Literally a drop in the bucket to a lot of those NBA players. So even that's not much of an incentive to play hard. So you get what you get with the NBA, but at least you got some close races that will make it interesting as they go down the stretch. And everybody's going to be watching to see how the Lakers and the Mavericks do. The Mavericks, they got a good group, but the problem with that is Anthony Davis, he's hurt already. I had said when they made that trade, I would never trade a 25-year-old for a 31-year-old with a long list of injuries like Davis. And he didn't last, a game before he got hurt? And that's disappointing to a lot of people. And the Lakers, they seem to be getting the best of that right now because Davis, he wasn't very happy in LA. And you always want to get rid of somebody who is not doing what you need him to do or being a good sport about things. He's more or less becoming a cancer in the locker room. So to get rid of him and get a plus like Doncic, you take that every time. So the Mavericks GM, he's the one that's under the fire right now. He's the one with the most to lose. But I think what's going to end up happening is he's going to learn to play well with LeBron, and they're going to make a run in the playoffs, and he'll become a free agent next year. He's going to sign a contract worth more than that $345 he would have gotten this year. So Doncic, he's not in a bad spot right now. But the question is, how long do the Lakers stick with LeBron? What's he, 40 now? Maybe he can play another year. We'll see. I don't know. But I think right now they're getting the best of the trade with the Mavericks, and they're looking kind of silly right now with AD already hurt. Now, he can patch himself up and go through a playoff run and all that, it would be forgotten. But everybody's watching. It's like a mad squad running up and down the court with him. You never know what you're going to get. He's a great player when he's on the court, but can you get him on the court? Kind of like that dude, Greg Oden. He would have been a great player, but he couldn't play because of his knees. And it was a wasted pick turned out. But the man can play when he's healthy. But that's just like your car. I can go 80 miles an hour for hundreds of miles. But when it don't work, what good is it doing me? Not much at all. And you're going to have to get out and walk. Maybe you have to push, And I think that's what the Mavericks try to do now, push your AD off the side, man. Go get another car, man, because he ain't taking you nowhere right now. But that's just me talking. I just don't think that it was a good trade for the Mavericks. And right now, it's looking just like that. So, but it's like I always say, basketball is just something to do until football comes back around. So guys like myself, uh, now that the All-Star game is over with, at least I can look at the playoff race take shape, and that makes it somewhat interesting. And maybe you get a better brand of basketball now that is tightening up toward the end. But like Draymond Green says, it's a boring product, and they're going to need to fix it. Otherwise, it's going to keep on getting stale, and the popularity is going to continue to drop. Um, Now, speaking of popularity in basketball, that a new league they got, basketball league for the women. I can't think of the name of it right now, but they seem to be doing pretty good, and they're getting a lot of fan interest from that. And the players like it so far because they make more money than they can make in the WNBA. So if that continues to be the case, then the WNBA, they're going to have to find a way to try to absorb their league or buy them out or whatever. It's kind of like what the NFL did with the USFL back in the 80s. They were fine until they started to want to try to invade the fall season with the NFL. When they did that, that was kind of like suicide. Had they remained a spring league and continue to get stronger, then I think the USFL could have lasted a long time. But no, they wanted to get greedy and try to compete directly with the NFL, and that was no good. And I think that this basketball league they have now with the ladies, they're not playing at the same time that the WNBA is playing, so that is a positive. And the fact that they got these one-on-one tournaments and the money is better, oh, the WNBA's got a problem. They're not making any money as it is, and a lot of players, if they start to see that this new league is going to be better than the WNBA, then they're going to abandon that and go to this league. So, especially with the one-on-one thing, if you don't look good as a team player, you might be a good player one-on-one, and it might put you in a position where you can get signed by somebody because they can depend on you in a one-on-one situation. Some players are just like that. They play better as an individual than as a team. And if you're an individual over a team, then you're not going to be on too many teams unless you're just that great. And a lot of players, they aren't that great. So they're going to have to deal with positions wherever they can get in. But a lot of times it's just getting a look. And if you can get a look, then you can make a team. And the more leagues that they keep popping up, then it gives these players more opportunities to play. And that's a good thing for them. But I think the WNBA, if they want to continue to exist, they're going to have to up the salaries, and they're going to have to make for a better environment for the players. Otherwise, these new upstart leagues are going to push them right over the cliff. And they've had opportunity. What's the WNBA been around now? What, 25 years now? Something like that, 25, 30 years. So they've had the opportunity to really flourish, and they haven't done it. So it'll be something to keep your eyes on, these new upstart leagues that they have. But speaking of ladies basketball, South Carolina, I think they still are the best team in women's basketball. But they got their head cracked the other day by UConn at home. I don't know if they're dealing with injury problems or what's going on with South Carolina, but the week before they had lost, I think it was to Texas, knocked them off. And that pushed them off that top spot. But this game against UConn, I think they had a 71-game home winning streak, something along those lines, and they got beat. And I don't know what's going on with South Carolina right now, but nobody's really fearing them, especially after what UConn did to them. Given the way things usually break, they'll probably see UConn again in the regional final or the Final Four. So you'll get a rematch. But whatever's going on in South Carolina, they're going to have to right that ship. Otherwise, it's going to be a shorter season this year. All right, let's see. With this poll I got, are professional athletes really that dumb to keep getting accused of the same things? Right now, we're going 50-50. I'm surprised to see Justin Tucker involved in something like that. You know, kickers, you rarely hear from them. And this guy here, accuracy-wise, is supposed to be the best the NFL has ever had, sitting on like 89.1%. That is very good. And if you add all that to what he was struggling this year, you know that he hasn't missed a whole lot of kicks during his career. He'll be kicking at 89%. But it might be in a little bit of jeopardy to his career because he's been accused of, what does he call it, massage allegations. Same kind of thing that Deshaun Watson was accused of. And he has denied all of that. And you get more and more people popping up accusing him. But when you start getting all these people accusing you at the same time, it usually takes one, then it comes another one, and then comes another one. And next thing you know, it spirals out of control. Again, with the money these guys make, if you're going to go into a situation where there's contact with another person in the professional environment, you should have some bodyguards there or somebody keeping an eye on what's going on. Also, should be some cameras around somewhere to make sure nothing gets off the track. And apparently, he didn't have any of that kind of stuff. He's going strictly on trust. You got some unscrupulous people out there. He could be one. I don't know. And the people that are accusing him could be unscrupulous. But I do know human nature. People take advantage of opportunities. And if he put himself in a position to get got, he might just get got. And it's up to him to deflect these allegations. But I am disappointed that if he didn't do it, why would you put yourself in that position knowing what happened to Deshaun Watson? It don't make a whole lot of sense to me. And the more money these guys make, the more they're going to get accused of such things. And I'm interested to see how this thing is going to turn out. But like always, whether he did it or not, he's going to pay a few dollars, and the case is probably going to go away, and he's going to be back in the league kicking field goals, regardless if he's innocent or guilty. I'm not saying if he's either one. I'm just looking at the situation, and I can't understand why these guys keep getting into the same positions. And a lot of times it's over the same kind of things. I really don't know how to keep yourself out of trouble. Somebody tell me how can these pro athletes keep themselves out of trouble and still be a member of society? You got to live. So how are you going to do these things without getting yourself in some kind of trouble? That's the one thing that I like to know. But other than that, not a whole lot of going on in the sports world. I'm more football oriented, and I see that the Bengals, they're trying to keep their top three players from going to the free agency market. T. Higgins, they're trying to keep him, and they predicting that he's probably going to get stuck with the franchise tag. And then you have Jamar Chase. They should have paid the man when his buddy from Minnesota got paid, because you know this day was going to come. You're going to have to pay him eventually. So why not rip up that contract he had before and sign him before you even get to this point? But he might have resentment in his heart against the Bengals. Man, I don't want to play with y'all because you didn't want to sign me when I wanted to get signed. So I want to go somewhere else. But it's smart business by these teams. Let this guy play under the same contract he has. And if he gets hurt, we save a little money. But if he doesn't get hurt, then we come to the negotiation table and you pay the guy what he's worth. So it's going to come down now to whether Chase really wants to play in Cincinnati. But either way, somebody's going to pay this man. And I think with the offensive explosion that the Bengals have, they're going to keep Higgins. They're probably going to put that franchise tag on him. And they're going to definitely sign Jamar Chase. And with Joe Burrow, that's going to be an exciting offense to watch. They were very exciting last year. It's just that their defense kind of left about there. And if they can somehow slow teams down from scoring against them, then they're going to be a more effective football team next year. Matter of fact, had they made the playoffs, it's the teams that a lot of people just did not want to play against. And just so happened for them, they missed out on percentages. But that should be their desire and motivation to come back next year. We've already got a new defensive coordinator, so you know they're going to look a little bit different than what they look this year. And in that division, we're talking about Tucker today, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, the other two teams, that's ahead of the Browns right now. Pittsburgh, they got quarterback issues. Like I've been saying all week, ever since Jalen Hurts won that Super Bowl, it has opened the door for the running quarterback. And now that you have Justin Fields, who's been on the bench pretty much all year, he has opportunity to step up and do kind of like what Jalen Hurts did. He can do the same kind of things. If the pocket collapses, he can escape. And I think Pittsburgh may switch to that quarterback as opposed to going out and getting another one in free agency. But the question is, Matthew Stafford. The Rams are looking to get rid of him, and it's mainly because of age. These guys don't get a chance to stay around too long anymore. But I think Stafford, if he were to get traded, they're talking Pittsburgh or the Giants. I don't think the Giants would be a good match for Stafford right now because it's a rebuilding project. Pittsburgh's not that far away, and they play the kind of style that fits his style. In other words, you run the football and you play action and hit them deep passes down the field. You got Pickens, he can get loose, but you're still going to need another speedy receiver to match that on the other side. So Pittsburgh, if they can get a guy like Stafford, they become more dangerous on offense. Then all they have to do is fix that running defense to deal with teams like Baltimore. Because with Derrick Henry coming through there, he's been drinking from the fountain of youth. A guy got 1 million carries on his back, but yet he's still running up in there like he only have maybe 1,000. So as long as he can stay healthy and keep running at the productive rate he's going, Baltimore's still going to be hard to deal with. So Pittsburgh, they're going to have to find a way to slow that Ravens teams down, and they're going to need to score more points. And getting a guy like Matthew Stafford will go a long way into helping the Steelers get to where they want to go. Because the way it looks like now, Russell Wilson, he's going to be going over to the Raiders with Pete Carroll, and that'll be a good reunion for them. But I think that Stafford would be a great addition in Pittsburgh, more so than he will be with the Giants. I think the Giants, what they're going to have to do is get a quarterback in free agency and then go pick up one in the draft. Right now, I don't know where Cam Ward is going to go. People are talking Tennessee, but I think he's going to probably be the first quarterback off the board because he has more mobility, same than as Shedeur Sanders. If we're talking about pure passing ability, then you would take a Sanders, but he can't escape. I see those college guys get on his heels and they get him. And if he thought the college guys was on his case, the NFL defender is really going to be on his back. So I think that because of that, and seeing how Jalen Hurts was able to escape when things broke down, that's going to open the door for a guy like Cam Ward and, like I say, Justin Fields, and to a much greater extent, Jalen Milroe of Alabama. He ain't going to beat you with his arm. He's grossly inconsistent. But one thing about Milroe, he can run. All right, I'm in a place here where they have the lights on a timer. And if I sit around too long, the lights will go out. Get me like this every week. So turn the light back on here. So should be good now for a couple more minutes. But yeah, Jalen Milroe, I think that even though he's not the greatest passer, he can escape. And just like Jalen Hurts, he wasn't the greatest passer coming out of Alabama either. But that man went to work on it, and he's gotten better. And even Jackson wasn't a great passer either, but he's gotten better. And they're going to have to keep on working on that craft to keep getting better. And I think Milroe will have to use these guys as blueprints for what he can do. So he has an opportunity now. And if you've been following along the last couple of weeks, everybody's talking about maybe Milroe should change his position. But that was before Hurts won the Super Bowl. Now he's got a reprieve. He's got a chance to come back and do something. But he's got to put the work in. But so I don't know what the Titans are going to do. But Rodney Harrison made some interesting comments. He felt like Hendon Hooker, the backup quarterback in Detroit, should be traded to, say, like the Giants or the Jets, and he would make an impact because he's the same kind of quarterback that everybody's striving to get right now. And Hooker was actually a dynamic quarterback in Tennessee. Stand back there and throw the ball. He can escape the pocket, but he got hurt. He was one of the top candidates for the Heisman that year when he got hurt. So his injuries extended all the way through most of his rookie year. Then he came back this year, and he came in with a few mop-up duties, and he played pretty decent throughout the year. So, being that Aaron Glenn was the defensive coordinator for the Lions, now with the Jets, he knows what Hooker can do and probably could help him. So it wouldn't be surprising if Glenn put in a trade request to try to get Hooker. They're not going to come back with Aaron Rodgers, so why not take a young guy like Hooker and come up with somebody else in free agency, and then you can rebuild your quarterback room that way. So the Jets and the Giants, they really aren't that far away. It's just what kind of moves can you make to rebuild your team? And I think Hooker will make a good addition. So Rodney Harrison said that, hey, I agree. But he was saying that you should take Hooker over Sanders or Ward. But I think Ward, if he's there, you got to take him. And Sanders, he has to be in the right situation, and you have to protect him because the drop back quarterback, the old style, he's pretty much dead. And Sanders, he'll run sometimes, but that's not really his thing. And if he can escape periodically, that will help him. But if you hold the ball just a split second too long, those defenders are going to chase him down because he's just not that type of quarterback. He's the type to stand back there and carve you up. And any quarterback can kill you if they got time to throw. So if he has time to throw, he will kill you. But I just don't think that he would be the first pick I would take. And as far as his brother goes, they didn't even invite the man to the scouting combine. I was afraid of that. That doesn't mean he won't get an opportunity to play in the NFL. He just didn't get a chance to come to the combine. Deion's going to pull some strings to give him an opportunity. But from my understanding, he wants to be a rapper anyway, and he's got some music out there, which I understand is supposed to be pretty good. So if he can get a rap career, I don't even think he even cares to even play the NFL. So that's just my viewpoint on the situation. But yeah, I think Hooker would be a good fit with the Jets. And if not the Jets, maybe even the Giants. And if not them, maybe Tennessee. So what I think is going to happen during this free agent period, how these teams go after these reserve quarterbacks is going to make a difference to how these quarterbacks go in the draft. Even though we're talking about Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, guys like Jackson Dart are moving up that board. And there's a couple other quarterbacks out there that can stand in there and throw it and run when they have to. So it's not just the household names that you need to be concerned about. You need to do your research on all these players because just like a Jordan Love, they got somebody there that's going to come out of nowhere and make an impact for your favorite NFL team. But my Steelers, I think they should go out to Matthew Stafford. They had feelers out there for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know why, but I think Stafford would be the better fit for it'd be a better fit for Pittsburgh than Trevor Lawrence. I heard Trevor Lawrence come out the other day say, "Hey, you're not going to Pittsburgh." Well, good. You know what? You know it. I think his problem last year, he's trying to live up to that big contract extension that he really didn't earn, but they gave it to him anyway. So he was trying to press, and I think that hurt him in the end. So that's just my take on him. All right. Mandel Harvey says, Shiloh reminds me of Reed Blankenship. He can be impactful. What do you mean UDFA? I don't know what that means. I think that Sanders can be, you're talking about Shiloh Sanders, Reed Blankenship. He can be impactful. I don't know what the UDFA stands for. I think Shiloh, he can play the game. I mean, you just got to make sure you get him in the right spot. They say he's an aggressive player and will hit you. So maybe they should move him down to strong safety. And if he can get to be put him in the box, maybe he can stop that run. Because I think what's going to happen is these things in the NFL goes in, undrafted free agent. Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. But this is what I'm saying. You could put him as a strong safety, put him down in the box on running downs, and he can be effective that way. I think his weakness is in pass coverage. And I saw some of that where he just was out of position, and it didn't look good on him on tape. If you didn't know what was going on, maybe he was in the right position, but it just didn't look that good. It just looked like he was out of position. So I think that he could come and play some run defense and maybe some special teams. So just because he's not coming to the combine doesn't mean he can't make the NFL. Uh, Evidently, Deion's got some powerful pull in the NFL, which he should because he's a Hall of Famer. So I don't have a problem with that. Shiloh was exposed. He's not ready for NFL. He needs to go to UFL and get right. Well, I think there's some pass coverage deficiencies there. So by him getting exposed that way, I think you are correct. But I've seen lesser players make it to the NFL. All it really takes is to get a shot. If he's got a big enough heart that he get into a system or get onto a tryout, he has an opportunity that he could make an NFL roster. You know, if it come down to it, they may keep him on the practice squad just to see what he can do. But from what I saw over the last 2 years of college, no, I didn't think he was ready for the NFL either. But if he put the work in, that doesn't mean he can't get ready for the NFL. So, but he's definitely not going to get drafted. And we'll see how that plays out. But his brother is definitely going to get drafted somewhere, probably late in the first round. And it might be his advantage. The later he goes, the better team he's going to be with. Then he can sit and get himself all the way together to get that speed of the game down and go from there. But I think that Chris Russell says run 2, watch Kansas State game. Yeah. Everybody has bad games, man. I'm trying to get a man some positives here. I've seen him play some good games too, not just because, you know, you can't pick out every little time he gets beat, run over or something. Everybody gets run over every now and then. Matter of fact, I don't know how long you've been following pro football. There was a guy from my hometown that played in the NFL by the name of Jarvis Williams. Hard hitter, man. Played for Florida in the late 80s. He played with the Dolphins for about 4 or 5 years and finished up in New York with the Giants. But he would hit you. And I seen him get run over too. So just because you're a hard hitter and you're a great player and all that, that doesn't mean you can't get run over. And it happens to the best of them in the NFL. Even Ronnie Lott. I seen Bo Jackson run through him. So it doesn't matter who you are. And occasionally you're going to wind up on your backside. And that's just the way it is. Okay, good idea about Hooker with Glenn, especially in the bad weather team. Spend draft capital, free agency money on quality run game, linemen and line coaches, and a platoon of backs. All right. So, Mr. Harvey, you must be a Jets fan. I know you guys are greatly disappointed at the way things happened with Aaron Rodgers. I still think that was a great pickup. I think the fact that he got hurt really derailed the good feelings about the Jets. Call it bad luck, but I think that was a good move to get him. It just didn't work out for the Jets at that particular time. Dr. Blue Snowball, where you been, man? And heard from you in a while. I'm about to wrap this up. Got to go to work in a few minutes. But yeah, Harvey, bad weather team, you got to be able to run the football. And you still got to have a quarterback to spin it. You got to stand back in there and throw it at some point. But these new running quarterbacks now open up a lot of the field that's not available to a traditional drop back quarterback. If they can get a guy that can complete, 50, 55% of his passes, safe passes without putting his team into a bad situation, run the football a little bit, and hey, the Jets can be competitive next year. They play defense, good defense. The Giants, I don't know what their problem is. I think they need to get rid of their GM too. This guy here had the choice between Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. He opted to let Saquon go, and then eventually get rid of Daniel Jones in the middle of the season too. Why does he still have a job? It don't look like he knows what he's doing, man. And a lot of these guys, they don't really know. They just like us. They're talking and they're speculating, and they hope this works out and they hope that works out, but it don't never work out. But sometimes they make the dumbest move in the world, and it breaks for them. No different than a guy betting on a basketball game or something. Sometimes you get lucky. Most of the time you don't. You just don't want to be in a position like the Mavericks GM, where now you're looking like real dumb right now because the guy that you thought that was going to lead you straight to the playoff, was he due soon as he get there? He gets hurt. Now you're looking around crazy, hoping for a savior. And if this guy don't hurry up and get back right and get you through the playoff run, then your job in Dallas might just be out the window, like Trent Baalke down here in Jacksonville. But that's the chance you got to take. Sometimes you got to take a great risk if you want to get over the hump. But again, you don't get rid of a young dude like Doncic and for a beat up jalopy like Davis. I don't care how fast he can go when he's running, but if he ain't running back half the time, what good is he doing you? You know, it's like you paying $1,500 a month for a brand new Ferrari, but every 200 miles you got to take it to the shop because it's so finely tuned it breaks on you all the time. So now you spending out far more than $1,500 a month, and then you got to go get another car anyway. So it's not doing you any good. It just looks good. It's got a good track record, but now that it's breaking all the time, all it's doing is taking you to the poorhouse. So just something to think about. But just to recap real quick, NBA All-Star game, some improvement, but it's still boring. Just like the rest of the NBA is boring. They're going to have to do something with the style of play in the league to get the fans to come back like they were before. And Justin Tucker, I'm disappointed that he's been accused of these accusations, especially since they mirror exactly what Deshaun Watson was accused of. The last thing somebody should be accusing any NFL player of is something like that, especially when they can control it. If you're going to go into these massage situations and people touching you, you should have cameras there and you should have security making sure everything is right. Evidently, he didn't have none of that. And he's in a bad situation right now. So I'm going to keep an eye on and see how that works out. All right, real quick here. Dr. Harvey says, fan of the style, want to see Eddie George be the new OC in Philly. Recognize football is hitting people, little defenders to play the pass are getting exposed by strong running. Well, they got little defenders because they were taking the running back out of the game. But guys like Eddie, Saquon Barkley, and Derrick Henry letting you know that the old style of football will never die. Somebody's going to have to stick it up in there. And as long as you got big backs like that, big strong backs, they're going to run through those small guys. So football, they're going to have to keep evolving. But if you get too big of backs back there in the defense, then those quarterbacks are going to be able to run by them. So it's a big problem for the defense because they're already playing with their hands behind their back because they can't really be aggressive and do what they need to do to stop these offenses. So it's just going to get worse for the defenses. But yeah, those backs are undersized. And let me tell you something else before I get out of here, Mandel. If you watch college football, a lot of those DBs, they don't wear pads now. They just be out there because they don't have any intention of really sticking their head up and hitting them. They taking those pads off so they can run with those fast receivers. But it don't help them none because when they have to stick their head in there, they can't. They're going to absorb all the extra punishment. They're going to get hurt. This is why you notice that a lot of those guys, they really don't want to stick their head in there and tackle these guys. So when you're watching college football, any kind of football, watch those DBs and see how they deflect from the contact. And it's kind of disgusting if you're a pure football head and you notice these things. It's kind of disappointing. All right. Wife accused Joseph. The accusations have always been. Well, I'm going to come back later on today with this subject because evidently there's a lot of stuff out there that I need to get brushed up on. But I'm just responding now to what I found out about the situation. But let's come back this afternoon and let's have a deeper discussion on it. Got a baseball game tonight, so sometime around 3:30, let's come back on and talk about that. But Mr. Harvey, Blue Snowball, Chris Russell, all you guys, man, I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. But I got to get out of here, man. I got to go to work. I'm already 2 minutes late, so. But wherever you are in the world, I hope you like and subscribe. Share me up, man. Hit me up, man. Let me know what you think about me. And I'll see you guys later on. Until next time, this has been Sports for Real. I'm Coach Hall. This has been another Sports Bite, and I'm out. Peace. All right, have a great day. I'm out.